overseas education is expensive. That's the first thing they should get. It's not for everyone. Travel agents, foreign exchange, become their agents and they try to send people abroad via these aggregators. Indians get extended post-study work now in Australia, and that's the only country where they get this post. Australia offers the best choice. They don't have to struggle a lot. For students who complete a course, have the skills and the knowledge, Australia welcomes them.
Everyone can study any part of the world. It's not for everyone. Hey everyone, welcome back to the yet another show of the Living Pod by Saurabh. Probably I can call him like a mentor, like a friend who been guiding us, without investor interest. In fact, we don't get business from you yet.
Yes.
But we want that.
Yeah.
Right. But and this is the beauty of this industry wherein people who've been competing, they keep competing. But if you can collaborate as industry, and they are just not talks, right? They've been doing it, right? The association he been heading as a president, it's a testament of collaboration over competition. Still you've been competing, on the business side, but as an industry, how they came together, what they are bringing on together, what value, what transparency, what policies they've been regulating. It will be a good discussion around that. And on that note, I would recommend and I would request Nishi sir to introduce yourself, because मैं नहीं कर पाऊँगा इंट्रोडक्शन, बिकॉज 40 years की चीज़ें मैं याद नहीं रख पाऊँगा. एंड देन आप प्रेजेंट भी हो, आप एटलेस भी चलाते हो, इन यूनिगो भी है, you been Melbourne citizen, right? Please, make me easy.
No, thanks, Saurabh. Thanks for the great words you had about me. You talked about me, I would say. And hi, my name is Nishidhar Borra. I'm the current president of the Association of Australian Education Representatives in India, AAERI. About myself, my own business I'm an education consultant and my company is Atlas Education Consultants and our trading name is Uni to Go. We are based out of Hyderabad as well as Melbourne, and we guide students to study abroad, and our major concentration is on Australia and Australian universities.
Why Australia and how did it start?
Well, see, I would say Australia is one of the best destinations for Indian students. See, they've got everything: world-class universities, safe and multicultural environment, post-study work options, and a clear pathway for residence. If students after their studies want to settle down in Australia, then Australia offers the best choice. Unlike other countries like United States or UK, they don't have to struggle a lot. For students who complete a course, have the skills and the knowledge, Australia welcomes them and they have various options under their skill category for students to migrate. Above all, if we talk about Australia, some of the most livable cities in the world are in Australia. I would also say Australians are very friendly. They are sports-loving people.
Outdoor
cricket, we have much in common with cricket about India and Australia. So, I think one of the best destinations for any Indian student is Australia.
You used to play cricket?
Pardon?
Did you used to play cricket?
Haan, gully cricket.
Indian, everyone is an all-rounder and they could have played IPL.
Gully cricket mainly, not at a professional level, just near our house, inside the garage, or, some small matches while we were at school.
Were you good at it?
Not really. Not really.
You've been or you've been pretty aware, otherwise, in India, everyone is a Tendulkar and Gavaskar and Kapil Dev.
No.
We are all all-rounders. No. We would have played IPL, we would have played whatever. But coming back to you mentioned Australia is got a beautiful infrastructure and, one of the few of the best cities to live, and you also mentioned that, Australia provide a pathway to citizenship.
But permanent residence, I would say. Yeah.
To permanent residence, okay, to PR, right? But also, is it right to say that it is tough to get into good university in Australia versus other countries? But if you get it, then it's more streamlined?
See, in Australia, the good universities, the top universities, we call them the group of eights, similar to the Ivy Leagues or something,
Right.
The group of eights are there.
Yeah.
And it's not really tough to get into these group of 8 universities, but the students should be aware that they should be ready. The fee is a bit higher at any group of 8 universities than
Which average is 40,
around
40,000?
to 50,000 per year with a group of 8 university, whereas other universities, roughly
20,
between
23.
30 and 40,000 per year. So it's slightly higher, I would say.
30%,
Yeah.
20-30%.
Yeah. Plus, while they are studying the course, the course level is maybe quite high for some Indian students. They might get an admission into the university, but are they able to cope up? So, as a counselor, we look at all these options to put them into the university. Overall, I would say, see, Australia has 41 universities, and all of them rank in the top 500 of the world. Right? There's no Australian university that crosses 450 or 500 mark. And Australia has, call it University of Melbourne, Monash, the UNSW, University of Sydney, University of Queensland. These are some of the top universities. Again, we have middle range universities, La Trobe, Macquarie, University of Southern Queensland, Edith Covens, and these are again ranked somewhere around 300, 250, 300. So, students get real world class education, I would say.
You mentioned 41 universities. Please help me. Because I guess you can validate. Somewhere I read 43, somewhere I read 42, and you are now mentioning 41. I also have a small research desk. We also churn some reports, right? For me, data. I'm a data sucker. Pardon my language, but is it 41 or 43?
No, see, there are a couple of universities. One is a Christian missionary but university. Uh, I don't remember the name, but that doesn't
It
really
doesn't count, right?
doesn't
Right,
count for
right,
us.
right.
Another one is a research incentive university known as Carnegie Mellon University, which is Carnegie Mellon again. They have a campus here, and it's also classified as an university, mainly into research and other
So
programs.
you were saying 41 streamline, and
40,
then
yeah,
two
41
are
universities,
research.
two are research as
For
well as a religious
religious.
university on site.
So 41 are commercial
41, yes.
streamline universities. Right. Tell me about your journey, Why Australia? Why did you go? When did you go? How did this happen?
Well, long story, but again,
I have enough time.
cutting it
I know
short,
you are tight
cutting
on
it
time.
short in 1990, in the year 1991, just finished our
1991.
1991, finished our graduation from Nizam College in Hyderabad, and then
You are Hyderabadi?
yeah, I'm from Hyderabad.
तो you speak Hyderabadi well. तो मेरे है कुछ ऑडियंस आप बोल सकते हो हम हिंदी हैदराबादी बोल सकते हैं आप बिरयानी तो लाई नहीं मेरे लिए
नहीं, when I speak Hyderabadi, तो मेरा प्योर हैदराबादी लैंग्वेज है.
अच्छा तो 2-4 वर्ड निकल आते हैं
नहीं, जो नॉर्थ इंडिया में काफ़ी अलग ज़बान बोली जाती है और हम अलग, it has a lingo of
थोड़ा बोल
Urdu
देना
and Hindi and a mix of both.
थोड़ा एक्सेंट भी है कि बोल के बताओ ना.
जी भाई, हम हैदराबादी हैं, हम तो खाते पीते लोग हैं, एंड हम सबको for anything we use the word बैगन. बैगन. So it's like, oh, I don't care. Oh, बैगन को बोलो.
कहाँ से आया ये?
Hyderabadi slang, I think it's from the old city of Hyderabad. And Urdu और हिंदी and Telugu तीनों का मिक्सचर बोला जाता है, तो उससे ये आ गया है कि कोई पैदल चल रहा है, पैदल चलते हुए आया तो वहाँ पूछते हैं आप टहलते हुए क्यों आ रहे हो, rather than पैदल चलते हुए आ रहे हैं. So like that. And yeah, after finishing my graduation back in 2001, all my friends, they were looking at going, either getting into jobs, getting into businesses, or going abroad. Many of them were trying to go to the United States, and US was
was or is?
No,
Still.
US was at that point of time.
मुझे लगता है US तो अभी भी like
नहीं,
अलग
अभी
ही
भी है, पर उस टाइम में
love
millennium,
है.
there was a lot of buzz about the millennium bug, and they need a lot of people. तो जैसा कॉलेज हो गया, वो COBOL, C++ वगैरह courses.
अच्छा, you're engineer?
No, I'm not an engineer. I'm a commerce graduate. But they were all getting into these IT courses at NIT Computers or somewhere, doing them, and then looking to go abroad or going to study abroad. And Hyderabad is a market, international student market that is tilted heavily towards the United States of America. And then somehow I didn't want to go to the United States because IT and computers were never my passion. Right? I went for a couple of days to NIT, and then I said this is not my taste, and I avoided going there. Somebody told me I met somebody who was from Australia, and he gave me lots of good things about Australia. He was Indian, settled in Australia, and he was a doctor by profession, Dr. Devidas, and he's my mother's classmate. My mother is a doctor, so he was my mother's classmate. So and he gave me many good things about Australia. And then, one day internationals, cricket, we all knew. Watching the one day internationals, which just came in, they were very new, the
Right.
one day
That
internationals at
white
that
ball
time.
and
Yeah,
color
colors, and
attire.
they used to show around Melbourne City, MCGs, and other things. So that was very attractive.
Interesting.
And then went to one of the consultants. The name was ASCO Promotions. There were very few consultants. Hyderabad had 2 or 3.
And उस time पे तो वैसे भी
हाँ,
countfully था. We were
consultants
doing
थे.
with like I got a privilege to do with Sushi sir and Ravi sir, and वो 1986 में तो सारी industry शुरू ही
वो
हुई है.
96 97 से वो लोग आए थे. उस टाइम तो बहुत कम थे. Then I had to go to Chennai also and meet one of the very, he's an AAERI member now, even now, but he's very old. तो उनसे भी मैं मिला. They guided me towards Australia, prospectus and showing everything. And finally we applied for an admission and landed in Melbourne. After landing in Melbourne, 2 साल के कोर्स को हमने 3 साल लिया. Not a very good student, but again we completed it. So
But you were not, I mean, I'm assuming, right? You were not very interested to studies like academics. But what was your passion that point in time?
see,
Because I will always say, because we are educators, right? We always believe, we judge people, तेरे number कितना है, तेरे marks कितने आए. But there's so much other aspect to it.
नहीं वैसा कुछ नहीं था. See, studies was always important to my family, as well as I knew I had to do it. But again, we were very childish in those days. Ignore करे तो क्या होगा, one of those pampered kids of home. So, didn't take things very seriously. Were too
तो
young.
कहाँ लगा आपका इंटरेस्ट कहाँ था उस टाइम पे?
कुछ नहीं, लाठौरी में था, बस इधर घूमना उधर घूमना.
लाठौरी बोलते हैं?
वो दोस्तों के साथ.
कहाँ पंजाब में गिरी बोलते हैं, I guess.
हाँ, बस वही उसी में.
और यूपी में क्या बोलते हैं?
And taking things easily, ये था. But somewhere, after a couple of years in Australia, then you realize the importance of
The
education.
opportunity you got.
Yeah, and then we went and we completed it. Parents were sending money, so we were not worried about.
Do you come from a rich family?
Well, not rich family, but
privileged
we're
family.
quite a well settled family.
रिच हुआ ना 99 में आप अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया जा रहे हैं.
I'm the only person in my family that's not a doctor. The rest, everybody. My father was a A-class contractor. Mother was a gynecologist. Both
हाई प्रोफेशनल इनकम.
Yeah, both brothers are surgeons.
कौन सी गाड़ी थी आपके उस समय?
उस टाइम में मारुति 1000 थी.
हम लोग अमीर थे.
मारुति ST.
अमीर थे और अब तो हुई.
या 1000, हम 1000 बोलते थे उसको.
हाँ, 1000.
मेरे पास तो बस इन सुजुकी था. और
किस गाड़ी?
Two-wheeler.
अच्छा, तो
Suzuki was known as in Suzuki in those days. Those were the first Suzuki vehicles that came into India.
अमीर थे. चलो अमीर.
अमीर मतलब we were not very rich. We were not
very rich. उस टाइम पे
but parents provided us with all comforts always, and for them education.
हम इंडिया में रिच हो करते हैं कि हम रिच नहीं थे, पैसा नहीं था. अरे प्रिविलेज था तो था. मतलब मैं वैसे ही कर रहा हूँ, आपके नहीं कर रहा, बट नॉर्मली होता है ना ऐसा. क्योंकि आई एम आल्सो ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड 40 years you been like into this, and like you have lived life all across, right? And you've been staying in Melbourne, Australia and all. In India, people who have money, why they मतलब they always try to say नहीं हम तो अमीर नहीं, हमारा पैसा नहीं है. मतलब इसमें गलत क्यों है इंडिया में? ऐसा क्यों होता है ऐसा? मतलब जनरली आपने किया ऑब्जर्व?
ये हम अमीर नहीं थे. अमीर, I don't know what अमीर is, but our the family was very comfortable. We could afford everything, and yes, we had all the privileges. So
well-to-do family, चलो
well-to-do family. मगर कभी पेरेंट्स ने कभी पैसों का रोब पे encourage नहीं किया था. So even my parents are quite simple. So in
fact, I always say people who got money or people who have money, they don't flaunt. People, they never, the new money is where you get flaunt.
They still taught us the value of money and things like that. So उस time में we used to say let's buy that. So my father used to say no, you don't need that, it's very expensive. And
so
value you earn, you buy.
Well to do, value for money.
Value for money and quite educated parents.
Doctors and contractors.
Doctors at that time. She was a gynecologist and things, and she's 85 years now, and she still practices.
Wow.
So each time I go to my mother's place, I see her clinic full of patients. So at 85 and 86, she's still practicing. So
inspiring.
She was a workaholic, and I think we got those genes with us. So that's what it is.
So then you went to Melbourne, right? And you studied in?
See, first I actually got an admission at Monash University, and after first year I flunked. And then I thought this is very tough for me. There were lots of assignments, and
And which course you were studying?
we went there to do a Master of Management.
MIM.
MEM, मास्टर ऑफ MBA में तो मिलता नहीं था, एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए था, तो मास्टर ऑफ मैनेजमेंट लिया था. फिर उसके बाद वहाँ हमने, वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड केम फ्रॉम इंडिया, ही वाज स्टडीइंग इन लैट्रोब एट बेंडिगो कैंपस. So we went to there, and we just walked into the university and say, I want to get admitted, and we got an admission right there from the university, and then extend my visa, and again
And this was back in 1996?
1992 is when I went to Latrobe.
कैसा होता था उस समय? Like, so flights कैसी होती थी, और currency, I know we were
See,
short
currency
on
was
currency.
what, I think 24 rupees. One Australian dollar was about 24 rupees, or 22 or 24 rupees at
No,
that.
it's 57.
Now it's about 56, 57. So at that point of time, very few Indians in Australia, very few Indian students at the university too. There were a lot of Sri Lankan, lot of Chinese, Koreans. And
Even
other
back
guys.
then?
Back then, but very few Indian students. And we knew everybody that were Indians, you know, at least if we don't know them personally, we knew where they were and how they used to study. But
So the, around, like, the numbers are in hundreds, 400-500 in all across
I think
Australia?
a bit more than that.
More than that?
Yeah, more than that. Maybe around 2,000 to 3,000 students were coming there.
Right.
It is only after 1996 that Australia started attracting lot of students.
Why so?
Maybe the rules were easier, and people started realizing that this is a fantastic destination, and Australian universities are quite good.
Also, do you think, you know, like with Australia, India playing cricket, they coming in India, they were the World Cup in 1996, you know, do you think all these things?
See, definitely they would have added
the
up, but
more
I
visibility.
would also like to say Australian universities started appointing agents in India, and India is an agent-driven market.
Go deep. Tell me more.
India is an agent-driven market, and these agents were marketing Australia in a much better way. They were telling about all the good things that Australian universities have, comparing that Australian universities with universities of from other destinations.
I mean, you're talking about likes of, you know,
Exactly.
Like Sushil and Ravi's and
Ravi
that-
Lochan
this is when
Singh,
they
yes,
started.
Sushil
Yeah.
Sukhwani, Ravi Lochan Singh. See, these are they are legendary figures of our industry.
Yeah, yeah,
and,
For sure.
I
call them OG.
and Ravi and Sushil themselves were students
yeah,
there
Bond University.
from
roommates.
roommates and friends.
In fact, you know,
and also partners. Initially, they started it together.
In fact, you know, I did their podcast on the same day, just like 2 hours apart, and and they both were like, you know, we could have done together. I'm like, getting you together,
Yes,
getting you guys together. You know, either I'm busy, you are busy. You know, I mean, so but we'll do something together. You know,
definitely. I think
so
anytime.
1986 agents market.
So agents started doing a lot of work for the Australian universities, and counseling students, various cities. Suddenly Australia sprung up, and there was a
1968.
1996 to 1998, I would say.
Why?
Lots of
There must be
students.
reason. Nothing happened suddenly. What were the logics, or what were the rationale?
Logics itna tha ki, see, the millennium bubble, that was more saturated, and there was a lot of competition out there. So Australia started attracting, because quality of life and everything, you know, there's a lot of what you can say, inputs that were given by agents also, and agents played a major role in marketing Australia as a study destination.
Are you also saying, because you also be one agent, because this agent, you know, and sorry, you know, I'm putting you on the spot. This agent have a very different connotation, as you mentioned, you know, bad, good, bad, ugly.
See, I always use my 3 apples in many of my presentations. Like any other industry, even the agent industry has the good, bad, and the ugly.
Define
Agents.
what are good, what are bad, what are ugly, and especially now you are representing, or you know, representing agents, Australian agents across, you know. So they must be like, in fact, this is where I would love to know more about AAERI, why AAERI, you know, and like you being yourself agents, and then you set up an association. Why all this happened, and what is the reason?
AAERI was formed in the year 1996. Yes, it is an association of agents who are competitors among themselves, but it was an initiative of the Australian government.
Achha.
The Australian Education International, it was an initiative by them, and at that time Professor Tom Calma was the Counselor Education at the Australian High Commission here. Until last year, he was the Chancellor of University of Canberra too. He held many roles in there in Australia. So he encouraged the association, and some like-minded agents. You had Mr. Inder Panjwani, Gulshan ji, Ravi was there from right from its formation in AAERI, uh, as well as Gujral ji, Arun Bhuthani ji. So all these agents
मैंने नाम नहीं सुना है, ये साल हो
got
गए.
together, and they formed this association with the support of with the AEI, Australian Education International. And until about 2013 or 14, our head office had the address of AAERI's head office has the address of the Australian High Commission. It was care of Australian High Commission, New Delhi, and they used to handle all our minutes and other things there. So they nurtured it. They
तो मैं कंफ्यूज हो गया यहाँ पे, तो जनरली कंफ्यूज हो गया. AAERI is a brainchild of Australia Education International, right? And then they came together and they got agents together to have the best practice on. Then what is Austrade? उनका भी तो education और trade.
Austrade, though, it's a trade and commerce department of government of Australia, right? AAERI, that's a government organization. That's government of Australia.
Right.
Whereas AAERI is an independent, a society that is registered in India. And the formation of AAERI was an initiative of the Australian Education International, Australian High Commission back in the year 1996. We turn 30 next year. The aim was to get ethical agents under one roof and have a code of ethics and promote self-regulation, so students going to Australia and the Australian institutes are served in a better way.
Interesting.
So
But is there any, I mean, Austrade का education एक division है, एक trade का division है, right?
नहीं,
So Austrade का एक
see,
education का
at
division
that
है.
point of time, AEI was what we'll say it was a unit under the Department of Education that used to look after international students.
Okay.
Later on, back in 2013, I don't remember, but lately, international students was treated as a trade commodity, and Austrade started.
Because yeah, that's what, because because I've seen how nicely AAERI and Austrade works together. In fact,
We work very closely with
in
all the
their
three.
event, you guys are there. In all your event, they are there. And I got an opportunity to do a podcast with Monica. and
AAERI
Vic.
is very lucky to have the support of all the three departments of the Australian government. The Department of Education, the Department of Home Affairs, as well as Australian Trade and Investment Commission, which is Austrade. And we do work very closely with them. We share a lot of information. We take a lot of inputs from them before we actually do anything. And see, AAERI is their brainchild. So, and it's all about self-regulation.
But I mean, and with no wrong intention here. But is it also a reason that probably any association when we build, it becomes self-regulated, but it also become a like, okay, now it's independent identity and we're not competing with anyone, but then it's become like autonomy body. The rules been defined by you guys. A certain 50, 100 AD member come close, and then don't let new people coming. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. Nothing like that,
We
right?
have a very open policy. We don't determine any rules. We have a code of ethics that is designed keeping the ESOS Act, ethical recruitment practices, and the London Statement in mind.
What is London Statement?
London Statement is the 6 countries got together and they worked on ethical agent recruitment that has UK, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and a few others. So it was signed back in the year. So we have all those policies in pair. Follow this code of ethics to act in an ethical manner to serve students in a better way and to self-regulate themselves. AAERI is all about self-regulation. So,
But what happens if someone...
our entry policy, if somebody wants to become an AAERI member, we have a very straightforward entry policy here. They should have done a course, a EATC course, Education Agent Training course. They should have completed that course because they should know everything about Australia. And completing this course is a evidence that they know everything about Australia and they can guide students well. They have to have a 1-year track record working as an education agent. So that gives them some experience, they're just not out and become an AAERI member. They should represent at least one Australian university or a TAFE institute. TAFE is vocational education
yeah, yeah,
institutes in
yeah, yeah. In
either
Australia,
one
yeah.
university or one TAFE to become a AAERI member. So we have a very open policy. It is not a closed door thing. We don't determine anything. We are a very democratic organization. Everything, we have our AGM once a year, and everything is passed through our general body before we actually implement it across. So it's not a closed group. I'm sorry to say there's some misunderstanding
No,
there.
no, I mean that's what
Yeah,
you're talking, right? I mean, see, I'm the outsider, and I'm not into
yeah,
education,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have superpower to ask anything, and
ना you can ask,
please
you
मुझे
can
माफ
ask
करना अगर मेरे
anything.
को
नहीं
stupid
नहीं
लगे,
नहीं यार, ऐसा कुछ नहीं
because
है, देखो.
see the audience, so I'm representing audience which is university rep, students, parents, education agents, right? And I've seen, people even in industry for 10 years, 15, 20 years, they are they know very little. They if for someone is going to education, for Australia, and if I ask them anything on New Zealand, not many people know about New Zealand, or not many people know about even other countries. And in a way, which is also not right for students, because if a student going there
Yes.
and they only know about their Australia or their UK, not right for students. That's why I believe that all these associations, something like this should be there, where we can talk about anything, everything, and share the best practices, experiences, because this is where we can learn. In last 15 years, if I got blessed and fortunate to get access of each of you, and that's why my learning understanding is probably,
Bit
on a
higher
level,
than.
because not higher, but on a level, because firstly I'm curious, secondly you being so kind to us, right? And by this medium, people are now learning and getting better.
Yes.
So yeah. So please, not no intent to get
No,
put you
no,
on a
that's
spot.
all right. See,
I always say I'm not doing for news.
yeah,
I'm not doing for views. I'm not monetizing it.
yes,
And you are not getting anything. You're not giving me anything.
perfect.
You are giving your precious time, which is time.
Yes.
So I want to ensure that I ask the question which probably many people got in their mind, but no one answers that.
No, that's okay. See, I'm ready to answer any question, and I think I have a
Yeah,
answer for
yeah, yeah,
everything. It is
yeah.
not that. See, one is AAERI has excellent code of ethics that is in line with the ESOS Act of Australia.
ESO.
ESOS, Education Services for Overseas Students.
Okay.
ESOS Act.
How do you spell it?
ESOS, capital ESOS, ESOS Act of Australia. That, and it monitors, AAERI monitors the behavior of education agents. It monitors if there's anything going wrong with that agent, and if there is a breach of the code, AAERI also terminates or suspends them from our membership, and this information is shared with everybody across the
कुछ ऐसे हुआ है
industry.
केस विदाउट नेमिंग?
हाँ,
हर साल होते हैं?
लास्ट ईयर हमने ऑलमोस्ट 4 मेंबर्स को सस्पेंड किया है.
There must be lots of hue and cry. There must be like
See,
people allegate then
see,
that
we have a disciplinary committee inside AAERI. I don't suspend it, or my other president, general secretary, we don't suspend it. We have a committee there
committee, right.
that is headed by one of our executive, but it also has some senior members from the industry. We, before suspension, we do give them an opportunity to explain. We also look at various other things before we take this decision. It goes through some deeper screening before we take this decision. If there is a police case, if there's any case of fraud, misrepresentation, false advertising, we have a fantastic advertising policy too at AAERI. So if there's a breach of that advertising policy, if they have fake promises to students, calling it cheaper institutes, migration pathways, or anything like that, all this is not permitted if you are AAERI member. See, we are talking about self-regulation here. So if we find any agent with these kind of advertisements, we do write to them, ask them to stop, and maybe if it is a serious breach, then we immediately, the committee investigates it, and then they suspend it. So AAERI acts.
how many members are there for AAERI as
See,
of now?
right now we have about 125 AAERI members who have more than 500 offices all across India. Call all the leading consultants, all the ethical leading consultants. Yeah, I said good, bad, and ugly. So all the good agents are members of AAERI.
But people who are not part of your members, and if they're like, say, I know few bigger ones, right? Probably they are B2B, you know. It's also a rule that B2C member only need to be AAERI, or B2B can also be there.
See, I'm not sure what we are not selling insurance here. We are not selling commodities
Right,
here to
right,
call
right,
it
right, right,
B2B.
right, 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 right.
AAERI, on behalf of AAERI, let me tell you that we are against the aggregator policies.
What is aggregator?
After COVID, we see a sudden rise of some edtech companies. They call themselves edtech. I don't know why they call themselves edtech, but they call themselves edtech. They have a portal, and their business lies in appointing agents in India to market their universities that they represent or send them admissions and things like that. Some of these companies have given contracts to almost 3,000 to 5,000 subagents in India. Most of these counselors are untrained. Every forex guy, every English language training person, everybody, travel agents, foreign exchange, become their agents, and they try to send people abroad via these aggregators. They have spoiled the market. There's a lot of
But why AAERI or likewise AAERI or Austrades or British councils of the world let that happen? If what you're saying is true.
see, if we look at it, if we look at any code of there's a code of conduct also published by the British Council for UK education agents. It very clearly states that a consultant should themselves counsel the student. They should have the knowledge to counsel the students. And it never spoke about these aggregators. See, these aggregators came in into the market with a huge, I would say, pomp and show that they are using AI to solve students' problems. I don't know what problem they want to solve. And I haven't seen any AI till now, artificial intelligence work in student counseling till now. I haven't seen anything like. All they have created is a course search tool where you put country, you put subject, and then they get the options. And online they started because they are unable to get students directly. They don't want to get into counseling. They just want numbers. It's purely a number game to recruit students. They appoint everybody. Many of these aggregators also have raised funds. It is a funding game. It is,
But,
they show they have huge
but
projections.
what's wrong with raising funds?
No, I'm not saying it is.
And also when you're mentioning that like there's a rule that everyone should counsel that is student.
I think you should listen to the
Yeah,
entire
please,
conversation. When I say there's nothing wrong by in raising funds. Anybody can raise funds. But again, they have purely come into the market. They have appointed 3,000 to 5,000 agents
Sub-agents.
across all major cities, all small villages, and their main role is only to get enrollments. They are not looking at is the student genuine. Student screening is not at all done in the whole process. And they have found an easier way to make money by fooling the VCs that they have got so many sub-agents in India. They represent X number of universities or institutes out there, and they can then they project on numbers which are unrealistic. So raising funds, I'm not at all against raising funds, but again, all this false propaganda they have created around these so-called edtech companies. Is
No. So I have to always
from
say
the last
study abroad.
from
So
after
people,
COVID.
people used to call it edtech. I'm not edtech.
No,
I myself don't know.
University living, well, it's not edtech.
No, we are not.
It's more a discovery.
We are no. I tell you, we are edtech, proptech, and travel tech. We are integration of these three, right? Edtech, I'm very clear. Someone who is enabling and learning development, that is edtech, right? But study abroad is also not edtech. I'm very clear on that. Lots of my friends who have raised funds, they are like working with us. They are like biggest partners for us. But
see,
that's very clear that they are not edtech.
Saurabh, the biggest problem with the aggregator model is untrained counselors are giving a counseling students without proper knowledge.
Right.
They are not trained by the university. They are not trained.
But why universities are working with them? All the universities are working with them?
Not all. Not all the universities.
90%?
No, not even 90. It's less than 40%.
Is it?
They started working with them. Then they started discovering. Then they found out that this model doesn't work, or the kind of students they got are the dodgy students who have only misused the system to enter the country. And at least let me talk about Australia. Australia. And then there's a strict watch on them. And many of these big names, big aggregators that have come into the market, they're not working. There's a few universities that are working, and AAERI continues to voice against them.
See, as a capitalist edupreneur, right? I'm saying, and whatever little I know, right? End of the day, every university needs numbers. Every agent need to, get their visas. right? Even VFS and visa authorities or even Austrades and government, they also need students, right? Yes, it needs to be balanced out, and which Australia is a very good example, because there's a regulation. It's not easy to get to Australia, right?
No,
Even
Australia
as
has some fantastic regulations.
agree,
Okay,
totally agree. In fact, it's a model for many universities to replicate.
across the world.
Even I don't think there's a association like AAERI in other part of the countries, other part of the destinations, right? That's a model, but it also have some, what I see as a outsider, right? Again, not trying to put on a spot, but if you're saying, these aggregators and their counselors are not trained. Let's say someone who got 10 branches and they have, let's say, 100 counselors. Do you think all those counselors, who are working, not part of aggregator and part of the B2C direct to student companies, their counselors are at par with or not at par with, aggregator counselors?
See,
Event.
नहीं, छोटी सी बात है. How do you become a counselor? What is the knowledge?
Certification, experience,
Certification,
and hours of
experience, training from the institute you represent. If you are not trained by that institute,
counseling, directly.
yeah, and directly, and the ESOS Act, I spoke about ESOS Act a few minutes back. The ESOS Act very clearly says that they should be the agent institute in what do you call, should be transparent.
Right,
The relationship
right,
between
right.
between an agent and an institute should be very transparent.
Should be
And
direct.
should be direct, and it is the responsibility of the institute to train their agents in all aspects of studying in Australia. That's number one. Number two is, how is that untrained counselor counseling the student without first-hand knowledge?
Should not be done.
Yeah. We see a lot of problems after COVID in the international education industry. You have seen the news, ungenuine students, fraud students, fake documents, etc., coming into the system. They have all increased. Slowly, universities started looking at, yes, they started working with aggregators. They thought this model works
They also
well.
need numbers. Post-COVID, everyone was beaten by finances. They want to recover.
But on the other hand, but they found that what they are recruiting, genuine students are not entering. There's a huge attrition problem with universities right
So
now.
when you say genuine student, please.
A genuine student is the one who is going there to study. That has the financial capability, that
And
is
the right
going there
intent.
with the right intention to study. So, with all these untrained counselors, they are finding an easier route. And they are going to, they are just applying to the Australian universities just because they get a visa. But once they go there, they are transferring into low-level institutes or breaching their visa conditions to actually work in the country. This is a serious problem.
This is what you were talking, migration pathway?
No.
What is
migration pathway is once you complete the course. Australia offers 2 to 6 years of post-study work. And during that period, if you want to settle down in Australia, Australia has some policies for migrants to apply under the skill migration category, several visas. So a student can apply for those. And since he has an Australian education and an Australian qualification, he gets some bonus points.
Right.
So these are migration pathways. So he'll have an upper hand than in the migration pool,
Right.
than anybody that doesn't have a Australian
Right.
qualification.
You mentioned about, you mentioned this genuine student, and then we mentioned that genuine student, someone who have the right intent, financial capabilities, and probably the region is not to settle, but to acquire skills. If they get a job, they can settle. If not, they come back, right? But unfortunately, again, so I went for exchange program. I come from a background wherein I did my undergrad from India. I did my master also from India, but I got to Nottingham, and there I didn't get my accommodation. That's how I got into this accidentally.
Okay.
मेरा CEO वो भी जो मेरा ex Twitter handle है वो भी accidental CEO है.
Okay.
Right. But where I'm coming in, it's a question to someone like you. So I have a thesis of global mobility. We've been sitting here and we got lucky and privileged that we got an opportunity to go abroad, and meet people who are better than us, bigger than us, and we got curious and probably got a rub off with a better opportunity, right? So global mobility been part of this industry or this world from 10,000 year before. So नदी के पास आया, दिल्ली वाला बॉम्बे गया, बॉम्बे वाला यूके
कहीं भी
गया,
राजस्थान वाला हैदराबाद आया,
and ये अभी भी रहेगा,
अभी भी होता है.
Indian Bangalore, Silicon Valley will go to a Silicon Valley, now Silicon Valley want to come to India or to Dubai, or probably there was a time when everyone wants to go to Singapore, right? So and please validate this thesis or challenge the thesis that global mobility was there, will be there. The modes are through immigration and education, right? गलतियाँ कहाँ हुई जब एजेंट्स ने जा सकते हो पढ़ने के बहाने आप वहाँ इमिग्रेट हो सकते हो, या आप इमिग्रेट के बहाने आप एडुकेट हो सकते हो, जब ये वहाँ पे रॉन्ग एक्सपेक्टेशन रॉन्ग सेलिंग हुई एज पर मी. इज दैट द राइट थीसिस?
No, so पहले let's talk about why does an Indian student want to study abroad?
So मेरे हिसाब से तो अपॉर्चुनिटी, अब वो स्टेटस थोड़ा कम हो गया.
एक चीज़ है वर्ल्ड क्लास एजुकेशन,
तो स्टेटस में अब स्टेटस कम हो गया. अब
स्टेटस आज भी है,
पहला रीजन नहीं है वो,
पहला नहीं है वो दूसरा तीसरा हो
हाँ,
सकता
हाँ,
है. बट वन इज द फर्स्ट वन इज वर्ल्ड क्लास यूनिवर्सिटीज, राइट, एक्सपोजर, राइट. Third is family prestige. Okay, very proudly you will see parents saying that मेरा बच्चा तो यहाँ पढ़ रहा है, बाहर पढ़ रहा है और वो एक अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहा है. स्टेटस आ गया है वहाँ पर, सोसाइटी में स्टेटस, फैमिली में स्टेटस वगैरह. बट अगेन द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज, द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज द पोस्ट स्टडी वर्क ऑप्शंस. आफ्टर आई स्टडी, what are my options? Not now, but earlier people found US very attractive because once they complete the course, yes, they do struggle to find a job for a few days, but there was OTPs and OPTs and
F1 and
CPTs and then again H1s and options hain unko. UK, while a few years back UK did not have the post study work permit and their numbers really drastically fell down, plumped down. And you went to the UK, so you are aware of it. And they introduced the post study work back on, and then it went unke numbers काफी बढ़ गए हैं.
It's exploded.
Similarly, Australia, New Zealand, Australia has a post study work opportunity for 2 to 6 years.
3 years,
2 to 6 years actually. It depends on where you study and the level of course that you
study. Where was 6 years? Which part of distance or university?
Regional, and if you're doing into PhD.
Which because regional I know, but there were 3. What I'm saying, which I'm missing, where it was 6 years.
कौन सा?
मैं वही पूछूं, कोई ऐसा डेस्टिनेशन कौन सा है जहाँ पे 6 साल का पोस्ट ग्रेड वीजा मिल रहा था? पता है, बट 6 व्हाट आई एम मिसिंग.
देखो 2 साल से 3 साल, 2 साल से 5 साल है, मगर इफ़ यू आर एन इंडियन सिटीजन, ड्यू टू द ऑस्ट्रेलिया इंडिया ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट, they get 1 year extra post study work.
This I didn't know.
This is a major announcement done by both the ministers. Last year we had Minister Claire from Australia come to India and we had धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी, हमारे एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर भी ऑस्ट्रेलिया गए हैं और काफ़ी बड़ा ट्रीटी हुआ है उसमें. एज जेस्चर Indians get extended post study work now in Australia, and that's the only country where they get this post study work extended. हाँ, all other students from all other countries, if they get 2 years, Indians get the 2 years plus 1 year. So add 1 year everywhere. So because if they do a research program or from a regional area into a regional university, they get a 5 year. That becomes 6 year.
Which one is this?
काफ़ी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, रीजनल यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं, बड़ा लिस्ट है.
क्योंकि मुझे पता है पहले सब मेलबर्न सिडनी जाते थे, अब मेलबर्न सिडनी ब्रिस्बेन होने लगा, एडिलेड पर्थ में बहुत जाते हैं. पर्थ, मेलबर्न, एडिलेड, सिडनी एंड मेलबर्न को सबसे ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स जाते हैं. पर्थ, एडिलेड, गोल्ड कोस्ट है, टाउन्सविल है, पर्थ है, इवन डार्विन को भी हमारे बच्चे काफ़ी जाते हैं. न्यूकैसल और वोलोंगोंग वगैरह भी अच्छा.
न्यूकासल, वोलोंगोंग is very popular among our students, again very close to Sydney. We have Ballarat, again very close to Sydney. Latrobe का campus है Bendigo में, Bendigo again very close to Melbourne. So there are many campuses across them. Students have a wide choice. Students that don't want the hush gush of the city life and they want.
There's also Indian going to Adelaide.
There's a lot of Indians going to Australia. No, the government of South Australia is also incentives to students, state sponsorships for migration, and also they are marketing the state very well. They welcome Indian students with open arms.
Very interesting. So what is your take on accommodation?
Well, you're there for it, university living.
But what is your take? I'm not asking you to implant an interior, but you've been an Australian student.
See, about you mean to say accommodation in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah.
See,
I mean, also how important
last year the housing crisis was given a political turn and the blame went on international students. But again, there are several reports that were published that it is not, housing crisis is not because of international students, but it was
One of the factor.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was morely a political game between the two parties before elections,
yeah.
where it was a cat and mouse game, which the international students were caught in between, and then there was a hue and cry. Personally, we recruit quite a few students to Australia, and we found accommodation for them in cities like Melbourne, in cities like Sydney. Yes, Sydney is a bit more expensive than Melbourne or than Brisbane, and getting
Perth, Perth is
is
expensive.
Perth is again,
Yeah.
but Sydney is the most expensive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Because
you can
demand
say
and supply.
it's in par with Hong Kong, or it's in par
London,
with London,
Dublin.
in cost price.
Yeah.
So that, but Indian students, generally what happens with Indian students is they go to the university, they find other friends, like-minded friends, other Indian friends, and they want to rent out a flat. But we thank you, University Living, and other portals that have come in and that are solving that problem also right now, so where students can book. I think you're catering to every level here: student accommodation, flats, houses, and
BTR, now
everything.
we do
I've just
everything,
gone through your website, and I love the work that you're actually doing. And we would definitely be very happy to take this to all our AAERI members. I know you work with most of them.
And I'll carry it to you guys. I mean,
and
you've been so kind.
we will definitely put the word across there, and we will see that.
But from a student point of view, and a parent point of view, so I tell you why I'm asking this. So and why we did this podcast and the reports and all. Because when we started, we're like, agents are not taken seriously. Because we are not high margin game. Students wait for their visa to come. So I don't blame them. Especially in Australia where visas are still not like 95%, 98%.
Most of them come in the last minute.
Yeah. So like, what should we do to educate the ecosystem? And these are few things, right? But now with reports and podcasts and all, at least students, parents, university reps, everyone understand that, okay, housing is the second largest item in their spends. There are policies like no visa, no pay. Right? There are people like us and few more who are on the platform who are like, I never say book through me. In fact, one of the reasons Austrade got us, or you got us on that, even if an undergrad student come to us, we are like, please apply to University Hall. But we all know the numbers. One out of 6 students get accommodation from University Hall.
No, they are limited accommodation. On-campus accommodation is quite limited, and some universities, do not have on-campus accommodation.
So my ask is that if you get a chance to go to say something to students and parents, what should their right best practice, and when should they start exploring accommodation or the full journey?
I'll tell you the facts.
Please.
Indian students, as you rightly mentioned, they get visas in the last moment because the Australian intake is in such a way. It starts in 3rd week of July or 2nd week of July. Most colleges start, and Indian the marks come in May, and everything is done at the last minute. And many of them, the Indian diaspora is growing. Many of them find some friend, some far relative or immediate relative, and initially they would say, let my son go stay with them for a few days, and then he will find his own accommodation. So this is the general scenario that is being followed right across India.
Is it right practice?
Well, it depends on how close that relative or that person is. But again, earlier on, if somebody wanted to rent out a flat in Australia, it was very difficult for them to find because they needed local references. They need to give their biodata for the landlord to approve and other things. And there were no university living portals, right? But right now we've got we've got Scapes. I know you deal with Scapes. I've seen
the property is amazing.
Their properties are amazing, very student friendly, and quite cheap also. They're not that expensive, for the
value for money. I call value for money.
Yeah, value for money. So these are all come in.
Unfortunately, Indian students still find Scapes and PBS is expensive, and we also been. That's why we have to add more BTRs and HMOs.
Yeah, see, majority of
I call PBS a value for money. Scape is a very, very strong partner for us.
Majority of the Indian students, all of a sudden it's a huge transition. Where per week is it $350 into 55. Oh,
yeah.
20,000 rupees lagega. So that's the general mentality. But again, once they go there, in about 3 months' time, they learn they don't multiply everything into 55, and then they get used to it. So it's a sudden shock to them that most of them.
And good thing, people are also understanding that after COVID, everything have doubled. In India, the rentals have double, tripled after COVID.
If you
Right.
if you want a good flat in Gurgaon or New Delhi or
Yeah,
even
yeah,
Hyderabad,
yeah.
the rents are almost ₹1 lakh or
Yeah,
more than that
yeah,
for a
yeah.
high-end flat.
Yeah.
So
Everything doubled. Yeah, there's
everything doubled.
inflation
The
everywhere.
cost is
Yeah.
slightly
Yeah,
higher
yeah.
in Melbourne and Sydney. Overseas, see, what students need to realize is overseas education is expensive.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they should get into.
It's not for
their mind.
everyone.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, and only if they can afford it, we suggest them go and study. It's an investment. It's a fantastic investment.
Yeah.
Going study and studying abroad is a fantastic investment, but your parents
You need to
or
afford
family
it, or planning to afford it.
should be able to afford it. So,
So I
that's the-
how I call it is expensive. It's not for everyone, but anyone, everyone can study any part of the world if you plan early. If like kids, even parents are starting early with SIPs or probably global talent visa, and then people go, or else students should start as early as possible, crack SATs and ACTs and whatnot, and then there are scholarships and grants all across. But everyone can study anywhere, but it's not for everyone. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you. And it was very candid. Thank
Yeah.
you. And on that note, thank you.